Hey guys, welcome to another channel episode. Today we're going to be talking data tools and we're going to be talking all about how to get Jupyter Notebooks on an AWS instances. This is going to be a quick guide and it's going to be like a follow along video. So please stay to the end and I'll give you guys some really important tips on how to not mess up doing some Jupyter Notebook work on AWS servers. Now, let's start why you would want to do this in the first place. A lot of data scientists nowadays do most of their workflow on Jupyter Notebooks, and in particular, a lot of people also have these laptops that can't run convolutional neural networks, can't do any transfer learning, would like to move on past the limitation of their local machine. And using AWS instances allow you to be able to work on almost any size data science project without the limitations of your current machine. So without further ado, let's get on with the guide and I'll tell you more tips along the way. So let's get started. So here I already have open AWS. This is just aws.amazon.com. So first thing I'm going to do is log in. Now I'm going to log in as root user. If you need to log in as IAM user, you'll know. If not, just log in root user, put your username, put your email, and you're in, right? Now you're going to go into the management console at first, and you're going to want to visit EC2 instance. Now this might not be the first thing you see. You might need to go down here, or you might have to search for it on the top. Let's just do that, EC2, and it's the first thing that pops up. So we're going to click that, and here we go. This is the dashboard. Now, as you see, there's a banner here, and this banner is always here. They're always changing how this looks, and the steps are always changing. Now, this guide is going to be a very general guide, and so you're going to be able to still use this. If it changes, the website might look different for you, but Amazon's always changing things, trying to improve, of course. So this might not look the same for everyone, but if it does, you're going to go to the left, you go to instances, and you're going to see here that I have nothing running. And I'm going to go to launch instances. Once I'm here, I get to choose my Amazon image, my AMI. Now, for data science, I'm always going to choose one that comes with some tools preloaded. Some people might like using the free versions, and they would go to do something like Ubuntu search, and they would just choose an Ubuntu machine. Now, if you know what you're doing and you know you only want certain things preloaded into your EC2 instance, this is what I would go with. But since I'm doing this for data science, I'm going to go into the deep learning and I'm going to find a deep learning AMI. Now this comes preloaded with a couple things. I don't really remember everything, but it comes preloaded with Docker, Tmux, it comes preloaded with Anaconda, so any package you need really, and so much more. TensorFlow in particular it's going to be so helpful because you don't have to set anything up. It's going to work from day one, basically. So we're going to go here. We're going to choose the latest one. Now I'm partial to Ubuntu 18. It's the one I'm most used to, but you'll know if you need to go to 16 or anything else. So we're going to go here. We're going to click this one and we're in. Then we got to choose a family instance type. By the way, guys, I have all this written up in a guide right here, as you can see. Launch AWS, deep learning Ubuntu 18, start the G4DN instance, extra large, or whatever you need. And that's currently the step we're on right now. We're choosing our instance type. So I'm going to go to here to families. And here you get to see all the AWS families. Now, there's a ton. They start at T and they go all the way to Z. And you can kind of think of them as getting more expensive as you go along the way. Now, data scientists, they love to spend time in the P, but I think that for most personal projects, if it's like you working by yourself, one person, the G would be fine, but I understand why some data scientists really like the P. They're very powerful. I think they come with around 4 graphics cards. I'm not really sure how many, but I know that the D comes with one. The G instance comes with one, and it's really it's cheaper than $1 an hour, which is good for the work we're going to be doing. So I like to go to the G4DN. Now this uses one GPU. It uses the, I think it's the Tesla GPU by NVIDIA. It should be strong enough. If you need anything more than that, again, check the P instances, but today we're going to go for the G. Now here you get to choose how large you want the CPU and the memory. For my necessities, I usually go with the 8 GPU with the 32 gigs of memory. I usually don't care about the CPU as much as I do the memory and the GPU. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to the 2 extra large G4DN, and we're going to go, oh, camera's kind of in the way. We're going to go on to next. So we're going to go to configure instance details. Here, I usually don't touch anything in step 3. So we're going to go to next, add storage. So step number 4 is going to be adding storage. Now, you can add storage here, and it costs money. Now, you can also do an S3 bucket, and where it costs way less money. It's more reliable, lasts longer. It's a bit slower, and it's not on your main machine. Now, I like this because it's so much simpler, and for beginners, it's the #1 way to go. So I would do this, but know that once you close your instance, you lose everything, okay? So this is the easy way. This is my preferred way, but this isn't the only way. S3 buckets are another option for you. Now, the reason I do this almost every time is because if I'm working with a large data set, which I probably will if I'm going to go on AWS, this AMI comes with some things preloaded, and it could be around, 50 to 80 gigs already taken up because of just the storage of the main machine. So with only 100, that leaves you with like 20 gigabytes maybe, and you could totally run out of space, especially if you're saving models and doing things like that. So I would actually argue that in some cases, it's a good idea to put this at 200 gigabytes and go from there. So next, we're going to add tags. Tags, I usually skip this step, no need whatsoever. Now we're going to go for security group. Now this is the most important step because depending on what you're going to be doing, you're going to want to add more or less. You're almost always going to want more, but you're going to want to add more rules. In this case, the default is the 22, and that's how you're going to access it from your local machine. Now here you can put custom, anywhere, or my IP. I would usually put my IP if I'm only working on one computer and I want to stay safe. Anywhere if you just want to access it from multiple machines and you really don't care. I'm going to leave it at anywhere right now because I don't want to show my IP on camera. Next, we're going to do custom rule. We're going to leave it that. And for Jupyter Notebooks in particular, you're going to want to go to 8888. That's 3 8s. And again, you're going to want to put that at anywhere. Now, this is all you need for running Jupyter Notebooks. Now, if you want to do other things, and I'll probably input more guides on how to do this later, or even add it as a bonus later on, but you could add extra rules. For example, you can do Flask apps, and you can do other things like that, which is really cool, but I'm going to skip that till later. So then there we go. You can name it whatever you want. I would name it something. I would name it like Jupyter Notebooks on AWS, and then review and launch. Cool. So it just gives you some warnings that it's not free and that I chose anywhere, but that's fine. Review your things. Deep learning, AMI, Ubuntu 18, 8 cores of CPU, 32 in memory, and I have my ports open, 22 and 8888 on the custom TCP rule, which is the basic one. I didn't touch that. Cool. So now let's launch. Now we get to choose a key pair. Now this is a kind of confusing step that I wish they had more information on how to do, but I'm going to show you in this video how to do it the easiest way, so you're not going to have to worry about this ever again. Super easy. You just go to create a new pair key, and you enter your key pair name. Now, if you already have one, you're free to skip this step, but for those of you who don't know, you're just going to name it something that's memorable. I like to name mine whatever computer I'm on and whatever instance I'm currently using. Now you can use these for multiple instances. It's just a key, but I'm going to go with calling it, this is my Mac, so I'm going to name it Mac, and then I'm going to do underscore and do the G instance, D4DN. Perfect. That's what I want to name mine. It's exactly. And so I download it. Cool. So now it's going to let me download it, and I want to save file. Don't open it. Just save the file. Click OK. Good. Now that's done. Now we get to launch instance. Now, the first time you do this, you might get an error saying that you don't have access to do this anymore. I think it's going to be mainly due to you being a newer account. Now, if you have that, don't worry. You're going to get an error, and it's going to tell you what to do. It's going to give you steps. Be like, you have to go here to apply to be able to use this this bigger GPU or this bigger instance. And so you're going to just go there. You're going to follow the instructions. They're going to give you a link. You're going to go to the instructions. You're going to go to the G instance. You're going to type the amount of CPUs you want. In this case would be 8 G instance. And you're going to give your reason on why you're using it. Once you do that, it should take around a day, maybe 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. I'm not really sure, but it's really fast. And they should accept you if you're not someone who's spamming the network. And you can go from there and restart and watch this video again and do it. Now, I've already gone through that process, so I didn't get that error, so I'm able to move on to show you guys. So I now launched. Now I'm gonna click on the instance. You can also just go to AWS right here on the top left. Go to EC2 instance, go to instances, and bam, it's right here running. Gonna click on that. Oh, it's actually initializing, sorry. And here we go. This is my instance. This is how we're gonna look at it. Now, I'm going to go to connect. If you saw that, I clicked on the top right where it had the connect right there. And bam, I'm right here. Now, they have 3 tabs here for 3 different ways to connect. The easiest way to connect, in my case, is the SSH client, and that's the way we're going to connect today. We're going to follow the bottom example. All right, and it's so easy. It even gives it to you so you can copy paste that. Now, before we do that, we're going to have to open a terminal, and we're going to have to move our key. Now, our key is in our downloads, and we don't want it there. You usually want to move it. Now, in this video, I'm going to do it from my downloads because it's a video, and I'm probably going to throw away this key afterwards, right? I don't want, maybe I show my key by an accident and you guys can see it. We don't want that happening. So this is a key I'm going to throw away. But what you should do now is you should get your key, which is in your downloads, and move it to a safe folder. Wherever you do your data science things, you can move it in your .ssh in your home. You're going to want to put that away. Now, in this video, again, I'm going to do what I'm telling you not to do, which is leave it in your downloads folder. So you're going to open up a terminal, and you're going to ls to whatever folder you put it in. In my case, in downloads. Downloads. You're going to do ls, and it's going to be right here. Cool. So now we're going to do this special key. We're going to do ch. Now, this is really small. I'm so sorry, guys, for those of you in the video. Awesome. Let's do, sorry, I'm doing a new terminal, making it bigger. I want this to be really clear. So again, you have to cd into your key folder, wherever that is. So I'm going to do cd downloads, and then I'm going to do chmod 400, and then my key. Now my key is Mac underscore G4DN, and it's right there. So what this basically does is prevents, I'm not really sure, but it prevents, from writing it. It's only a read file. I think that's what you're trying to do to prevent any kind of mistakes happening. So you're just going to do chmod 400, click enter, and you're done. So now, again, Amazon makes this really easy. You're going to go back to Amazon, and you're going to click on this SSH. And you're going to copy that, and it says SSH flag I. Now, what that flag basically means is that a key is incoming. Then you have your key, parentheses, and then the name of your instance. The name of your instance is right here, but I just copy paste it, so I don't even need to know my name. And then I click enter. So we're going to enter that. Bam. We're almost in. We click yes to continue. Bam. And we're in. So a little bit of housekeeping before we move on. Let me scroll all the way up here. So we connected to our AWS. We into the deep learning AMI. They have this cute little thing right here. And then they have which of the following commands to start the required environment. Now, this is a data science video, so I'm going to teach you all about how to get TensorFlow working. Now, if you want to do PyTorch, if you want to just do Python and Keras, if you want to do all sorts of different things, you have a different environment here because we chose, the deep learning version. Now, I like going with TensorFlow latest, so I'm going to activate this one right here. Source activate. Oh, that's PyTorch. Sorry. Source activate TensorFlow 2 latest 24. So I'm going to just do a little copy paste there. Gives me a bunch of information on my instance. So we have things like system load, memory usage. So you see it's already using 40% of 200 gigs. So it does use a lot, just this instance. And we're in. So we go all the way to the bottom. That little Ubuntu thing shows that you're not on your computer anymore, you're on theirs. And yeah, so basically you can run anything here with the power of a huge machine on AWS's server. So now I'm going to just copy paste that, source activate TensorFlow, and it's going to optimize it. It's going to work. Bam, there we go. We're in the environment. If you've ever used Conda before, you know what this is, and we're good. All we need to do now is we need to start our Jupyter Notebook. So let's go on to that step. We will need another terminal. So I'm going to open up another terminal here. Make that really big for you because we're going to have a local terminal and we're going to have the AWS terminal. So this is the AWS terminal. You can have open as many as you want of these, and you're going to have a local terminal. So now we're going to go back to my instructions, my guide, and I showed you through steps 1 to steps 7 actually. Select source environment, that's where we're from. That's where we are at, sorry. And let's go start running Jupyter Notebooks. So on your terminal, on your AWS instance, you're going to type in Jupyter Notebook, no browser, or Jupyter Labs, no browser. Now, I'm partial towards Jupyter Labs, but in this case, we're going to use Jupyter Notebooks. It's all the same. People have preferences. We're going to copy that. And this is our local. Nope, we're going to go to our TensorFlow one. And we're going to copy paste that Jupyter Notebook, no browser in. This should start a Jupyter Notebook on the server. Now we're going to have to get into there. So let me show you those steps. So while that loads, let's wait 1 second. Bam, bam. It's loading up. Done. There we are. We're going to go for this last one. Okay, now before we do that, we're going to have to make sure that our local machine can talk to it. So we're going to go to step 9, and on your local machine, start a terminal. Let's open up that terminal right here and connect to local port EC2 instance. So this step, we're going to have to copy this, the SSH NFL 999 localhost 88. So what this is doing right here is it's porting your 9999 to the 8888, right? And so your Jupyter Notebook, your machine will be able to talk to the other machine through these ports that we opened on the AWS instance. So now, as you see here in the instructions, you're going to do SSH, flag NFL 999 localhost 8888, and then you're going to do your instance key. So now we're going to have to go back to Amazon.com. We're going to copy from that key, that flag I. Remember, I taught you guys that means a key is incoming next. We're going to go here, put a space, put that in there with the key and your instance. Click enter. It's going to tell me no such file or directory. Oh, this is a common error. This is my fault. You have to first cd into the location of your file. Another easy way to do this is just by going in front of that file and doing this. And this should take you there. Downloads. So what I just did is this tilde, I forget what it's called, to let them know that we're starting from the root, we're going to downloads, and we're going to the key. And so this way, I'll be able to basically run this command anywhere without having to cd into my downloads folder. If you want to cd into downloads folder, that's fine as well. And we're going to click enter. No errors this time, so we're done. And we should be free to go. This is it. This was one of the last steps. Now we're going to go back to the guide. What does it say? After that, you should get no errors. And then you should go to your browser and copy the last one. So that's going to be not on this one. It's going to be honestly, it could be any one, but I like always keeping it the same. So I'm going to copy the last one because there's two here, but I copy the last one. And we're going to go to a browser. We're going to copy paste that into our browser. And before we click go, we're going to change one thing. We're going to change this 8888 3/8 to 9999. Because remember, that's what we did. We kind of port forwarded it in the earlier step. Click enter. And it should load up your Jupyter Notebook. Now, this Jupyter Notebook, it's spectacular. It's not running on your machine at all. You now have the power of whatever instance you got on Amazon's side. You're running their power, you're running their electricity, and for all intents and purposes, your laptop now is not doing any of the work. It's just on a browser, it's just on a website while you're SSH'd into some headless computer and you're accessing it from your computer. So now your computer is just a fancy terminal now. And so you could do anything here. So let's prove that. Let's start anew. Now it's going to give me all these different environments. I know as a data scientist, I want the latest TensorFlow. Maybe you want the latest PyTorch, whatever. You're going to click. The first time you run anything on this instance, it's going to take 10 seconds because it's going to start GPU, going to start PyTorch and everything like that. So I always do an import. I'm so sorry, guys. Import OS and import NumPy as MP. It's going to take a little while. Remember, I told you, and then it's going to go, and you're going to be fine. And then it's going to be running blazing fast. Amazing. You do NVIDIA SMI just to check if you're using a GPU. Oh, sorry, I have to do the little tilde in front. The tilde means a terminal command in Jupyter Notebooks. And here we go. Our Tesla T4 graphics card, we only got one. It's got 15 gigabytes of memory, amazing. It's using this much power, but we do not care. This is using CUDA 11, driver 450, and we're using none of the processes right now. So this is it. We're here, we're running, and anything we run here now on TensorFlow, we are completely fine, and we can run even, maybe not the most complex models, but very complex models, like things like VGG16, VGG19, the exception model, and things like that. Cool. So let's see. At this point, we're done with the guide. We changed the port to 999, and now we're on the website and we're running Jupyter Notebooks. Perfectly fine. Now, if you were to lose your connection to this, you will lose everything you were working on, which kind of sucks. So there's a program called Tmux, and I think it already comes installed on this AWS instance, the deep learning one, that allows you to disconnect from your terminal and connect to it again as if you were always connected, which is really cool. It basically keeps the terminal open on that headless computer over there on Amazon side. That's really cool if you want to run things overnight. Although I do always prefer to run things and save my models and save my history onto the AWS if I'm going to be running it overnight. That way I can shut down my computer. But this is a great way if you're just trying to spend the day doing some deep learning, if you're doing, maybe a capstone project or something, this is a great way to be working on that. And I have a couple of tips here on my guide. The bonus tip is to try, if you're going to be uploading some really big files onto this, I mean, S3 buckets is your way to go. But if you don't want to use S3 buckets and you want to make it, as painless as possible, you can use SCP. SCP means secure copy. And what you can basically do with that is you can send files to your instance just from your terminal. So I'm going to give you a little quick guide on how to do that right now. And I think I should have a good file to do that. And this is the guide on how to do this. Now once you get this done, you're going to have every step necessary to be able to be running any model on your AWS. Because right now you're able to get code. Maybe let's say you want to use GitHub. You can easily do a git clone. Let me show you how. So you would actually realize that on this terminal, which is your AWS terminal, you're kind of locked up right now on this Jupyter Notebook. But no need to worry. You can very easily open a new terminal and go to your AWS instance, copy paste what we copy pasted before, the SSH, copy that, go back to the terminal, make this super big for you guys. And I'm going to just CD into my downloads and then copy that, go in, and now I'm going to go into that instance again. And even though the other instance is running my Jupyter Notebooks, I can still do stuff on the instance here, and that's what I'm going to do, which is great. We're going to do an ls, and we're going to see here that we have a couple of files already in here. We have an account of 3, we have examples, tutorials, a README, and an untitled IPython notebook, which is the one I opened. But actually, we want to send all our data here. We would just do, say we want to send code, we would do a git clone. And then you would type in wherever your repo is, and you would have everything cloned onto there. And you can do git pushes, git pulls from here. Now, if you want to send big files, let's say you're a data scientist, you're working with a 1 GB file, there's something different that I want you to do. I don't want you to do git LFS because it's an absolute mess. What you're going to do is you're going to follow my guide and you're going to do secure copies. So the secure copy, the template is right here. You're going to do secure copy, flag I, and you're going to give basically where your key is, what the file is. So you're going to do SCP, your key with the flag, your file zipped. You're going to zip your file, and then you're going to do the rest of your instance name, which is usually Ubuntu, EC2, something. And then once you finish that, .com, you're going to do a colon. You're going to do a root, a tilde, I think it's called, slash. Now, what does that mean? That means it's going to send it right here. You see right here how we have the Ubuntu, and then we have the tilde. We have the colon tilde, and then nothing. That is where it's going to send it to. If you want to send it to somewhere special, right, you can hear somewhere right? And you can send it to that folder, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to send it to the main. Cool. So let's do that. And you're actually going to do this not from this terminal, but again from your local machine, because that's where the file is. So we're going to go back to local machine. This is my local machine. We're going to go into downloads and we're going to send a file. So let's do SCP. We're going to do the flag. We're going to do the name of my key. Then we're going to do the name of the file. And this is going to be a zipped file. Now, I don't remember if I even have a zipped file. Let me see what I have here. 1 second. Let's do an ls. And we should have we have a tar, which is similar. Oh, we have a zip right here. This is some work I was doing. So let's send that. So let's do a CD that has a bunch of data in CSV files. So let's do, not a CD, let's do a SCP, flag I, then the key, or again, if you're trying to do this from a different place, which you probably are wherever your file is, you're going to go do a little tilde, comma, you're going to do downloads, you do a comma and then your key. Of course, this is literally pointing to the same place. This is going to be hilarious. And then you're going to do the file. So we're going to do marketing associate scientist zip. Remember, we always use zips. I mean, tar should be fine, but a zip. And then we're going to do our instance name. Now, what's my instance name? I don't remember. So let's go to AWS. Let's copy paste everything before the key. Everything after the key, sorry, Ubuntu. And then we're going to go here. We're going to copy paste that. So now we have the SCP, flag I, your key, your file, your zipped file, and then your instance. And then you're going to do the colon. You're going to do the tilde to go to the root, and you're going to do the backslash or forward slash. Honestly, I don't even know. Forward slash and go. Now you should see a little loading bar and you see it happening live and done. Wow, I'm so honestly so glad I chose a small one. And we're going to go back. This is again the terminal connected to our Ubuntu machine, and we're going to do an ls. Look at before we had just this, and now we're going to do an ls, and bam, we have the zip. Now you can unzip that, just unzip and write the marketing. Oh, sorry, unzip. Let's do marketing, and bam, unzipped, ls, unzipped, done. There you go. Now, let's say you worked all day and you have all your data complete, but now you want to bring your data back. Let's say you mess with your data, or actually in particular, let's say you have some TensorFlow models you want to bring back. Now, this is super, this has happened to me once where I was like, damn it, I don't know how to get my data back. But you can just use SSH again. Now it's a little confusing because many people try to now, sorry, SCP from this machine, and then they're like, what's my IP? What's the IP of my machine? I forgot how to do this. Well, the fact is you don't need to do that because you shouldn't be SCPing from this machine at all. You want to go back to your main terminal on your machine. That's this one right here, where it's in the downloads, and you're going to SCP again. Now, again, we're going to go back to my guide, and we're going to see that you're going to SCP flag key your instance, then you're going to go into the place that you want your file. So you're going to do the tilde, colon tilde, forward slash. You're going to do home path file. So for me, it's literally just going to be file. And you're going to then do space, and you're going to go put the target on your computer. So Let's do that. SEP. Oh, that was a mistake. SEP, flag I, the key. Then I'm going to put my EC2 instance, which is going to be called this right here. I could just copy paste it from here. Colon, tilde, slash, and then the file I want to send. Now let's see what file I want to send. Sure. We have a IPython notebook here. Again, I suggest you do zips, but I'm going to do this just for show. We're going to do this untitled IPython notebook. So we're going to do untitled, oops. Is it all in caps? No, it's not. Do untitled, we do space, tilde, slash, we're going to go downloads. That's where I want it. That's how I can see it. And we're done. That's exactly how you're going to do that. You're going to click go. It's going to do it. It did it instantly. Now we're going to ls and see if it's there. Bam, untitled IPython notebook. Done. Now I have all my data. And now, you know what? Screw this instance. We don't want it anymore. We're done with it. We're going to go back to the AWS. Of course, Jupyter Notebook, if you need anything, you would have saved it before. But we're going to go to the AWS. We're going to go to instances. You see here it's running. We're going to go here and we're going to stop instance. You can stop the instance. Let's say if you're doing a project that lasts multiple days overnight and you don't, because you will basically like turn it off, turn it into dormant mode, and it'll cost you less money. In this case, we're done with it. We don't want it. We spent all day with it. We don't want it anymore. We're going to terminate instance, terminate now. It's shutting it down and we're done. It's over. We don't have to deal with that. We got our files. We did everything we needed to do. We got our data. We're out, shutting it down. And guys, that is how you do some Jupyter Notebooks on AWS. That is how you send your files. You bring them back. If you guys want to know more about how to use Flask or how to use Tmux, let me know. I'll make another data tools episode. But for this data tools episode, we are done. Showed you guys the basics. With this knowledge, you're going to be able to do almost any model really that you can do as a beginner. If you're not using, pegabytes of data, if you're only using gigabytes of data, this will be what you'll be doing. And I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you next time. All right. Once it's terminated, it's done. Peace.